Hi, welcome to Marriage Connect. Nyoka Bikamau. Now, I got a series, a medical series. Very nice, very entertaining. It's called The Good Doctor. Lovely. If you love medical drama, this is the series for you. Now, as I was watching this series, I came across an episode that really caught my attention. That it spoke to me, because actually there were two episodes. They really spoke to me, or they coincided together and they worked so well together as it went on. Now, this episode involves an old couple. They are an old couple because they're in their 50 years old, or let's say, yes, averagely old, not very old, like 60 or 80. They're in their 50s, 55 or 50, that came in to see a physician. Now, the reason why this couple came to see a physician is because the lady had developed an infection in one of her many implants. This particular one that had developed an infection was on her cheek. Apatu, she had done a bit of cheek lifts. You see mine lift by themselves. She had some implants that make her cheeks lift. Now, as the physician was attending to her and telling her that the implant has an infection and causing her to have an infection, we realized together that she has implants all over her body. Not just on her cheeks, but on her buttocks, on her boobs, and everywhere there is that she can put an implant. Trust me, there was an implant. Now, as the physician was explaining to this old lady that if she does not have the implants removed, she would die. But before we got to that point, they had tried giving her antibiotics to fight the infection. They had tried repairing one of the first cheek that had made her go to the hospital. And the first thing that she requested the doctor is, after he has treated the infection or removed or scraped the infection, he returns the cheek back and puts another implant back. Now, as I looked at this old couple, I wondered why a 50-year-old woman would want to have so many implants on her body in the first place. Doesn't she feel beautiful? Doesn't she know who she is? I mean, she's 50. It's okay for us younger women to be confused and not know who we are and get overwhelmed by children. You see, when you're 50, your children have left. You have time to think. You have time to, you have time to do I don't know what. Anyway, I haven't gotten there. I'll find out when I get there. Moral of the story. This couple, they are given a report by the doctors that if she does not remove all the implants that are in her body, she will die. What shocked me about this couple was that the old lady would rather die than have the implants removed. Wow! I was like, okay, so you would rather die. All of us are fearing death. You're embracing it. If I was sick somewhere and the doctor said that if they remove my leg and I'll be okay, I'll not die, I think I'll opt for removing my leg. So would anybody else. But this particular lady refused to be treated. She was told she'll become septic. She'll die because of the infection. And she refused to be treated. And so one of the physicians got concerned and decided to speak to the man. Because even me, that's what I thought. It has something to do with the husband. The husband has destroyed the self-esteem of this woman. He has made her feel like she's not beautiful. He has been unfaithful to her countless times. And now since she did the implants, he started to appreciate her and to accept her. And of course, that's all of us would think when the series is going on. But this physician spoke to this gentleman and told him the same thing I've just told you. You need to make your wife feel confident. You need to let her know that you love her, whether she has the implants or not, and that you're going to be there for her, and you will still find her to be beautiful, whether she has the implants or not. So he decides to go ahead and speak to his wife. Now, this is where I got the story. When he went to speak to his wife to ask her to allow the doctors to remove the implants, the so calm, beautiful woman, put together woman snapped. And she went like, I can't go back to the way things were. And I thought, how were things then? And then she gets to the bottom of the story. She says that before the implants, before she had her cheeks lifted, before she had her bum lifted, before she had her boobs, lifted, before she had all that cosmetic surgeries, her husband did not pay attention to her. And so the wife believed that the husband was having an affair. Contrary to that belief, the husband was not actually having an affair. The husband was difficult and never home because he was not able to provide for her. According to him, he had promised her to give her the world. But because he was gambling and he did not have money, he could not be able to give her the world that he desired. But God is faithful. At some point, the rock ikatoa maji. And he was no longer broke and he had the money. So he gave her whatever she wanted. And what she thought was that her husband was not home. He was ever away having affairs because she was not beautiful. So she did everything that she could do to make herself beautiful. I want you to notice two things about this story. The first thing is the gentleman has settled down financially. He no longer feels insecure. He no longer feels inadequate. He no longer feels like he's not meeting the needs of his wife. So he's home more often. He's attentive. He's loving to her. He gives her anything she wants because he can afford it. And it makes him feel like a man. Now, the woman has done what she thought was the problem. She has fixed her physical physique, which she thought was the problem. And so, because it is coinciding with her husband being home, she associates her husband being home with the facelifts, with the bum lifts, with the boob work, with everything that she has done to herself. So dangerously, to the point that it is killing her. But she does not realize that it was not that serious. Anyway, finally, the husband and the wife have a heart-to-heart. But the infection has spread, the color of the complexion of this woman has changed, and the time that they fought to argue if they could remove the implants or not. They finally understand each other. Finally, the wife knows that her husband loves her regardless. It's not about the implants. It's not about how beautiful she looks. He loves her. And finally, the husband understands that the wife loved him even when he had nothing, even when he could not give her the world as he so desired. The wife loved him, but they had never spoken about this before. Were it not for the infection that had occurred in one of her cheeks, they probably would never have had that heart-to-heart conversation. That is very, very important in a relationship. Anyway, they finally agree and they invite the surgeons and they say they are going to do the surgery, which they are going to remove all the implants in this lady so that she can be treated and she recovers from the infection that was caused by these different implants in different places, so many of them. So, during the surgery, the lady succumbs to her infection and she dies. The doctors do everything. They try to massage her heart. They try to shock her because they saw the story, the struggle before they got to that point where they are. Anyway, when death knocks, it has knocked. The lady goes to be with the Lord. I took that as an opportunity to learn, as a learning curve for me. And as that was going on, one of the physicians, the one who does the plastic surgery, was going through a difficult time with his wife in the same episode or even maybe the previous episode. And they were struggling to have children. And of course, as the society dictates, the problem is a woman. Because the wife had decided to pursue her career before settling down with a family. And she finally got to a place where she was ready to have a family because she believed her farm had gotten to where she wanted. She had gotten to the level where she wanted to be. Kindly note that her husband is a chief of surgery in this medical hospital that I'm talking about. So he has also achieved career-wise. But he has held bitterness and resentment in his heart against his wife because his wife also chose to pursue her career other than pursuing family and having children. So here they are. Maybe they are 38 or maybe they are 40 or even them they are clocking 45 there. And they have started trying to have a baby. They are both doctors, so they know how to try. They know how to go about it. And they realize, wanagonga mwamba. They are not conceiving. So what do? They consult a gynecologist. And what follows? Test. Believe me, I know this story. I've gone through it. They follow test. And they get a report that one of the tests has turned out to explain why they're not having a baby, but the gynecologist would like to redo the test again. Of course, that night, the husband and the wife have a conversation, the chief of surgery and his wife. As they are having the conversation, of course, the husband outbursts when the wife asks him, this is the point where you tell me, honey, I'm with you with this. And he says, no, do not expect me to be with you with this. You chose your career over us having a family. You chose developing yourself over us having a family. And the wife was shocked because a minute ago they were together in this. But when the doctor suggested there is a result that is suggesting that there is a problem with one of them, not knowing who it was, he drew a conclusion that it is his wife, and he stepped out, and the tuko pamoja stopped being tuko pamoja, kila mtu ako kivyake. Anyway, they go to see the gynecologist the next day. Guess what they discover? Oh yeah, it's not the woman who has a problem. Her ovaries are fine, her womb is fine, her fallopian tubes are not blocked. It is the husband who has low sperm count and motility. The chief of surgery cannot believe it. I like to use his title because that title defines who he is. He can't believe it. He's embarrassed, remembering the things that he said to his wife last night. What a painful turnaround. What a painful turnaround for anybody, and I would not wish it on my worst enemy. So here they are looking at each other together. And at the same time, he's the same chief of surgery who is doing the surgery on this lady who I talked about previously. When he had finished the surgery and this woman succumbed to the infections, she became septic and she passed on, it hit him right there. He realized that sometimes in marriage we focus on things that we think are more important than the connection that we have with our spouses. Sometimes we focus on cosmetic surgeries. Sometimes we focus on how big the wallet is. What role is the other person playing in our lives? What financial contributions are they making? What spiritual contributions are they doing? What part are they playing in the raising of the children? And we forget the most important thing, each other. And when it hit him, he went home and he told his wife, there's a surgery that can be done to help me, but there's a risk of impotence. The greatest threat a man can have. And guess what the wife did? I love this woman. She's a home builder. She tells him, you know what? There are so many ways for us to have children. And I'm not allowing a surgery to interfere with our sex life. I loved that statement. So we will figure it out together. I see an opportunity here for this woman to turn around and give it back to her husband. Good measure, pressed down together and running over. Like we would do, like a normal person would do if it wasn't such a perfect script, Like you turn around and tell them, yesterday you were telling me it is me, so guess what? It's you now. So pia wewe uko peke yako. But this woman chose to support her husband and stand by him and cover his shame by accepting to explore other ways in which they could have children. Being doctors, I assumed they have an advantage to this information. This episode really captured my heart because I saw a marriage of 30 years, confused, of people who have lived together for 30 years or more and do not know each other's heart. They have no idea what drives the other, what motivates the other, what makes that person behave the way he does. And I asked myself, as I recently shared, I was challenged to write a love letter to my husband. And some of the questions that came up really dug deep into my heart. The questions that were offering guidance on how I should write to my husband. They really dug into my heart. How did I feel the first time I met him? What was it that triggered me to get into a point where I said, yes, I will marry you? The most important thing at that time for me was his love, his embrace, and his acceptance. Because coming from a background of abuse, hatred, rejection, the one thing that I so desired so much of my spouse was acceptance and love. What I did not know before, what I had not experienced before. Mind you, money was not in the list. A maisonette was not in the list. A Mercedes was not in the list. 10 children, my friend, was not in the list. The same case applied to my husband, because I asked him, what is your expectation of this marriage? And he told me a reciprocation of the love that I give you. So all these things, other things that we go chasing, were not in the list. They were not deal breakers. They were not part of the covenant. But as time went by, and issues of life, the ups and downs of life, that push you and shove you and shake you and break you, came into the picture, just like this old couple. And instead of them sitting together, instead of the husband coming home and trusting his wife, becoming vulnerable to his wife, this man would have lived a fulfilling life, because he would have discovered that his wife loved him nonetheless. Rich or poor, tall or short, she would have loved him, because all she wanted of him was for him to be present in their marriage. And she went to such an extent of causing such a physical transformation on herself that it led to her death. She tried to see herself when she first met her husband, and children came, work came, relatives came, and her life turned around. And she wondered, am I still the same woman that my husband married? My cheeks have dripped. Because of breastfeeding, my boobs have flattened. My chest and my stomach are in the same level. And like anybody else, she looked for solutions. She did not know that sitting with her husband and becoming vulnerable with him, she would have discovered that her husband, in the years they have been married, he has never had an affair. In fact, he was only unfaithful with finances because he was gambling with the little that he had. He was trying to be rich overnight, just like all our men that we have today. The greatest fear that they have is failure. Failure to what? Failure to provide for you as the wife. And as I speak about this, I remember a sermon that Bishop T.D. Jakes preached and said that it's difficult for a man to be on the horse, pushing the horses to keep moving, or to be in the cart together with his wife as she labors in pain. It's difficult for a man to be present at home and to be out there making it in life. It's difficult. It takes a wise woman who understands her role as a suitable helper to be kind and compassionate to this husband, to provide support. It takes an exceptional man to say, today I am putting aside my ambitions. I'm putting aside my goals. And first of all, I am going to take care of my family. I recently learned of the cross goals. You see a cross? The one that it works like this. The one that Jesus was hanged on, it works like this. The cross presents itself with 4 boxes. And the thing I learned about those 4 boxes is about setting goals. The first one takes up the goals that you want to make, financial goals. The one right after that, the one right next to it on this side, takes up your family goals. And then the third one, upper chini, takes up the miscellaneous, takes up the other goals, goals of being there for your family, attending family functions, and what have you. And then the fourth one takes up the miscellaneous goals. But as human beings, most of the times we find ourselves focusing on the fourth box of miscellaneous goals. Chasing dreams, doing cosmetic surgeries, trying to keep our husbands in our homes, manipulating them, pushing them to the brink, breaking them, abusing them, emotionally, and even physically, trying to achieve the first and the second goal with the miscellaneous focus, with misplaced focus and misplaced priorities. This episode taught me a few things that I would like to share with you. Bullet number moja. Priority. Focus the right direction. Do not go towards Limuru with a Kiambu matatu. You have got to get into a Limuru matatu to get to Limuru. You cannot get to Limuru by a Kiambu matatu. Kiambu matatu will get to Kiambu and stop there. You cannot get your husband to be vulnerable with you if you are not faithful with the past vulnerabilities that he has expressed to you. You have to be faithful with each other's vulnerability. You have to be faithful with each other's trusts, weaknesses, and strengths. Do not use their weaknesses to beat them down. Use them to build them. Complement each other. Opposites attract. That's for a reason. So that they can work together to perform a certain function. Bullet number 2. Don't wait until it is too late to do something about the situation that you're in. Don't keep on postponing to say, I am sorry. Because you never know. Tomorrow is a mystery to us all. We only know today and yesterday. Tomorrow is in God's hands. Don't wait for your spouse to die so that you can bring her flowers. Don't wait for your spouse to die so that you can write a beautiful tribute. Let them know, now that they're alive, how much they mean to you. Take your time. Take the challenge. Write a love letter. Let her know, I got your back. Let him know, I'm right here and I'm not going anywhere. Whether we are rich or poor, whether we have or we don't have, in sickness and in health. These are vows we took as we got into this covenant, that we really did not take time to understand the weight of these vows, what they really mean for us. What exactly is poor for you? What exactly is rich for you? What exactly is good health and no good health? You need to understand. Bullet number 3. Communicate. If you're hurting, say something. Ask him politely, in a quiet spirit. In a quiet spirit. Ask him, why don't you come home? Do I make the environment unconducive? Ask him. My friend, respond. Be honest. Have authentic conversation. Heart to heart. Share. Communicate. Trust your spouse with your weaknesses and your strengths. Trust them. Because if you don't trust them, you will end up in an emergency room, fighting, holding on to things that you think are important to their spouse. And honestly, they are really not. And the reason why you don't know that they are not important to your spouse is because you have not invested in each other. Life can really beat us down. Life is not easy, my friend. Whoo! And family, relatives, that's another lot. Is another. I'm telling you, you do not need the battles between the two of you. And children do not complete a marriage. They do not determine your relationship. They are a gift from God. They are a gift. You unwrap it, you enjoy the gift, and then waende wanze maisha yao. The marriage is between a husband and a wife. And marriage is the only thing that God compares to his relationship with the church. Think about it. That institution that you're in is the one thing that God uses to illustrate his relationship with the church. This is Marriage Connect. Nyoka bika mahu. And like. Yeah, I'm learning. Share. Comment. And I really want to thank each and every person who has encouraged me and told me, hey, you have to keep on doing these videos. You can't just do one video and go for a month. Oh Lord, I'm trying. Thank you so much for the encouragement, for the love. God bless you. I hope you have enjoyed the video. What's my name again? Marriage Connect.